Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome. We're so happy to be here with you. Thank you to Rob and Steve for hosting us and letting us speak today. It's so refreshing to be in a room full of AI enthusiasts. So today, this presentation is a bit more foundational and beginner level. So there's going to be probably a lot of you who know a lot of the content. Hopefully, you're going to learn something today, and yeah, hopefully we can help get you all to like the same level and up level all of you a bit here. So we are IRI's Intelligence, and so we're an AI education and implementation firm established to help leaders and teams understand, trust, and apply AI. So we like to do a lot of speaking like this, and then we like to help businesses actually implement AI into their company. I'm Rachel Krayenhoff. While my career actually began in accounting, I found my passion when I moved into startup operations. And so I'm now the operational architect, COO, and co-founder of IRIs. My passion is turning visionary concepts into scalable enterprises. And I've done this now with multiple startups, including a pet tech AI company where we actually built an AI model to scan a cat's face to see whether it's in pain or not. So that was my first leap into the AI world. And since then, I've integrated AI so deeply in my own workflows that I've boosted my personal productivity dramatically. And I'm joined by my co-founder, Brayden Everton.
Everyone, Brayden Everton, CEO and co-founder IRI's Intelligence. My career's pretty multifaceted, diverse. Went from emergency medical response to construction, and from swinging a hammer and trudging through the mud waist deep to leading 250-person team through maximum security prison renovation in the institutional construction sector. I've taken it upon myself to evolve in a career toward director of operations in the restoration industry as well. From there, just leveraging AI as I went through the motions, and I've led organizations, built teams, structured culture, worked with processes, and optimized every step of the way. And I began recognizing trends in technology when I was really young. I've been passionate about AI since I was a kid, really, and studying kind of the philosophy around it as well. So my goal here is just essentially to help businesses grasp this concept of AI and to implement it and leverage it as much as they can in this new world. So I'll pass it back to Rachel here.
Great. So I'm going to talk about a little bit what we're going to be talking about today. And so our objective is simple. We want you leaving feeling more confident using AI. We're going to be doing some live demonstrations to help you get a foundational ability and vocabulary so you can discuss and use AI confidently. And ultimately, we want you to understand how this is going to impact you and the world around you. So our plan starts with, first, we want to frame this entire presentation with some essential vocabulary. Next, we're going to introduce the key players and their groundbreaking AI models. Then we're going to go through a structured prompting method that we call the role, task, format, context framework. That's going to immediately give you some more powerful results from AI. Next, we're going to dive into a live demonstration with AI where we're going to show you a really great example that you can use yourself right away. Then we're going to zoom out and talk about what this new paradigm shift in AI looks like. And then we're going to talk about what we call the emergence, which is the strategic global view and how AI is going to reshape our world. And finally, we're going to cover some golden rules of AI safety to make sure you're using it securely and keeping your data secure. So we're going to kick off with this vocabulary. And actually, before we dive in, I also want to state that if any of you have any questions, we'd love to have discussions throughout the presentation. We do have a section at the end for questions and answers, so you're welcome to wait until the end as well. So let's kick it off. First is probably the most basic, but most important is, what is artificial intelligence? Well, at its core, AI refers to systems designed to perform tasks that normally require human intelligence. It is the ability of a machine to display human-like capabilities such as reasoning, learning, planning, and creativity. AI allows technical systems to perceive their environment, deal with what they perceive, solve problems, and act to achieve a specific goal. The specific type of AI we're going to be discussing today is large language models.
So what is a model is kind of a question. We all want to make sure we're on the same page here. When we're saying large language model, there are a variety of different models under the umbrella of AI, from video model, like image model, like large language models. At their core are a statistical probabilistic machine intended to take in raw input and output a new like an output. So at their core, it's just a statistical model, mathematical model, something that takes in information and runs it through calculations and outputs a different.
Yeah. And so while artificial intelligence and its models may seem a little bit like magic and we don't really understand it, it's important to remember that ultimately it is a tool, and it's an extremely powerful tool right now. And this tool can be used to really support and dramatically enhance your work.
So with any tool, it's important to know the limitations of the tool. My background in construction, that's like one thing everyone always says. So with limitations of this tool, in particular, hallucinations are a key limitation. Keeping in mind that this is a statistical model and it has the ability to predict tokens, and it has the probability of predicting an incorrect token, allowing it to cascade into a completely falsified answer. And it may just double down on that answer as you ask and try to verify it. So just be cautious there. We're going to talk more about hallucinations further on into the presentation.
So you're probably wondering, how can you reduce these hallucinations? And we have a whole slide on this later, but one way to do that is by providing AI with clear and sufficient context. So context is the background information that you provide to AI to help it understand your request. The better and more structured the context, like a specific report that you upload and a more detailed description, the better the AI's output will be and the fewer hallucinations you're going to see.
So when it comes to context, this is just the more information that we're providing to what we call the prompt. And if everyone here should know the term, it's kind of the starting point with AI. The prompt is the instantiation of whatever you're trying to get out of the AI. The prompt is what initiates that. So just keep that in mind, that context can come in a variety of different ways. Effectively, we just want to include it in our prompt. The more context we give, the better it's going to be.
Yeah, and so one thing to consider when you're crafting your prompt is that AI can actually ingest and output multiple formats, which is what is called multimodality. And so this means that AI can understand and generate more than just text. It can process images, voice, documents, video simultaneously, making it much more like human intelligence. That was very dramatic. So, I mean, we can pause here if anyone has any questions about the terms, any elaborations, and maybe any specific definitions that are not here that anyone's curious about. Great. Good. Okay, so now we'd like to show you what these key players are and some of the models that are available to you.
So for the first thing to note, the frontier models, this is essentially the companies and research teams and development organizations that are at the forefront of the industry, creating the groundbreaking capabilities that everyone knows or can know of in AI today. So there are just four key companies generating a lot of the root capability of any AI application that we see across any domain, any sector today. The frontier models are providing the back-end capability that a lot of front-end applications are leveraging to provide a use case specific solution. Mm-hmm. So it's important to just understand at the baseline that frontier models are the root of everything. So we're going to give you an overview here on those. First up, everybody knows about OpenAI. CEO Sam Altman, founded by Sam Altman, Elon Musk, and some various other researchers. We've all seen AI come through in model releases and how they're kind of dynamically adjusting to demand. And from what we've seen, we understand OpenAI is really targeting the consumer use and general use AI. So looking at OpenAI, we like to consider this to be like the daily driver of AI, your go-to for any like rudimentary question or task or action.
Yeah. And next is Google Google DeepMind. This is led by Demis Hassabis. And so their models include currently Gemini 2.5 Pro, which is their advanced reasoning model, and 2.5 Flash, which is better for simpler questions and tasks. And so their models are very deeply integrated into the Google ecosystem, and they especially excel at search and image generation. If anyone here has an Android and they have a specific phrase that I won't say, you're actually instantly accessing Gemini's 2.5 Flash model. And there's a way where what you can do on your phone is toggle between the two different models so that if you have more complex questions, you can do that directly on your phone through that function as well.
Next up is Anthropic. So it's kind of rooted in research and development, AI alignment and safety. Their CEO, Dario Amodei, is a contender in the field as well. Anthropic was kind of the first real competitor to ChatGPT after the launch, and they've really zeroed in on coding capabilities as well as like a larger context window to really understand the extent of a code base and to create agentic work through just computer language, whereas others are kind of focusing on human language. So really known for its coding capabilities, context window, and research and alignment AI safety, focusing for the enterprise integration. So not so much the consumer use, but more enterprise and working for institutions.
And you might have heard the buzz around their latest Sonnet 4.5 model that's been really excelling at coding functionalities. And then we have xAI. This is Elon Musk's company. Their model is Grok, which is designed to be witty and rebellious with access to real-time information from the X platform. It aims to be the ultimate truth-seeking model and to provide answers to questions that other AIs might avoid. It's also positioning itself to be well-versed in hard, complex engineering and scientific questions and applications.
Next up's Meta AI. So this is Mark Zuckerberg, Meta. They have a model called Llama. They've open sourced that model and have for years now. It was a reaction to, I think they were a little behind in the AI race. ChatGPT came through, Anthropic came through. Google, for some reason, was in the dust, I think maybe waiting. But Meta decided to release open source to kind of pose a competitive barrier for the frontier labs who are leading the pack. And Meta's AI is really, I think, looking at optimizing on a platform-specific basis across different, like WhatsApp, Instagram, Facebook, and they're looking at that open source capability. It's a great point to add. One of the first frontier models to be open sourced, and
And so next is Perplexity. And so we thought that Perplexity deserved its own recognition since it has carved out a very unique space in the AI race with its search function and browsing capabilities. It is spearheaded by CEO Aravind Srinivas. And so Perplexity's core mission is to challenge traditional search engines by providing direct, accurate answers. So instead of a list of links that you normally see, the platform synthesizes information from various sources on the web and provides in-depth responses in a report-like format, complete with inline citations so that you can verify the source of that information.
And with Perplexity as well, because at the outset here, say frontier models are the backbone to any AI application. Perplexity started on this wave by leveraging frontier models into their application. They now have their own in-house model called Sonar, and so they make the cut here as well for that reason. Yeah.
And then next.
And DeepSeek is the Chinese advanced reasoning model. Basically, this is also an open source model and looked to be kind of a reverse engineering approach on OpenAI's advanced reasoning capability from '01 and onward. So noteworthy mention here, open source, very cheap to build upon. And looking at this, we'll touch on geopolitical tensions as well as far as like Chinese labs and releasing open source software, forcing North American labs to release software on a regular pulse. But
yeah,
that's all I have to say on DeepSeek at the moment.
So this brings us to a crucial concept called the white label effect. So you might be wondering about other tools. Most popular one is Microsoft Copilot. And so the reason that this space feels so crowded is that most AI tools don't build their own models. They use one of these frontier models as their base, maybe in an open source format, and they add upon it. So, for example, Microsoft Copilot utilizes OpenAI's technology. Of course, they've adapted it to become more so of their own, with their own guardrails in place. But ultimately, they're originally leveraged the OpenAI model here. Does anyone have any questions about what's on the screen here? After hearing about this, are there maybe any models here that you're more curious to explore and want some more information on?
I'm curious. I thought Perplexity was working on top of OpenAI. So you said are they 100% working on their own server farms and everything now? Or?
There's a routing mechanism. So I think on the paid tier, you get access to a multitude of different selectors. I'm not as well versed in Perplexity, but from what I've read, we have a differentiator is whether or not you're paying for a subscription. It gives you either Sonar is handling all of the unpaid subscription, like free tier, and then paid you get all of the other models along with it, or vice versa. I can't remember the difference.
So you can toggle between them. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. What's your opinion of open source versus not open source?
That gets into a philosophical debate pretty quick. Yeah, I think. I'll prefer to remain silent on that one.
That's fair.
I think it depends. From my perspective too, it depends if you want to use it a bit more privately and securely. So open source, you can leverage your own computing. And so that's great if you have specific use cases that you want the AI model to do that you can leverage the open source with. So I think it really just depends on what you're using it for.
Yeah, and it's coming into fine tuning as well, open source. If you have a custom application where you really need the security and tailored outputs, leveraging an open source model, especially if you have proprietary information going in there as well, you want to run that with in a data sovereignty, so you own your own compute, run it locally, and just
casually run it locally.
Is it one comment on the open source thing? Keeping in mind that the licensing aren't all the same, so Llama is not truly open source. It's there's still commercial restrictions on it, and then whereas DeepSeek is the MIT Apache license, so you can truly do whatever you want with it.
Yeah.
So if you're getting open source stuff, I recommend doing a little reading on what the actual licenses are, because you might still be some restrictions.
Absolutely.
That's awesome. Thank you.
Can you elaborate a little bit more about Copilot and if it is reliable, how reliable it is? Is it under OpenAI category?
Yeah, Copilot, do you want to say?
Yeah, so Copilot, and I know Steve here might even have a better answer than me, but so Copilot does leverage OpenAI's model. However, all of your information is within the Microsoft server environment. So all of your information is still protected in the same way that using a Word document and saving on SharePoint is protected. Does that elaborate what you were wondering?
Well, I know it's widely used in government.
Yes.
So I was wondering how reliable it is and about the privacy aspect of it.
Yeah, so if you trust Microsoft's privacy capabilities, then you can definitely trust Copilots because it's the same. Great. And then I think too, additionally, Copilot, some enhanced features that it has that GPT, if you were to use GPT, because it's ultimately somewhat the same model, Microsoft Copilot allows you to also reference the enterprise data, so the information from SharePoint, is added context to whatever prompt that you're using within Copilot as well. Okay, nice, thanks.
Good.
Okay, so we're going to talk through next a powerful framework that we call the role task format context framework. And if we have anyone in the room who's a bit more experienced with this, then you're probably familiar with it, but it's a really good baseline. It's not the law. It's just going to really help you get a lot more value out of your prompt if you use this method. And we're going to show it in our demo as well. So we're just going to start by breaking it down. First is role. And so this is where you tell the AI who it should be. Are you talking to a world-class financial analyst, a creative marketing director, So assigning a role, it primes the model to access specific knowledge, tone, and vocabulary associated with that persona. So it's the difference between getting a generic answer and a more expert one if you're asking it to be an expert in its field. Next is task. This is the what. So you need to be crystal clear about the specific action that you want AI to perform. Don't just say, tell me about AI in finance. Say, instead, create a summary of the top 3 risks and opportunities for AI in the wealth management sector. So a precise task leads to a precise output. Next is format. This is the how. So how do you want the information presented? Do you want a bulleted list, a table, a formal email? By defining the format, you're controlling the structure of the output, making it instantly usable. Finally, we have context. It provides the why and the where. This is where you give AI background information, constraints, and desired tone. For example, you might add that the audience for this summary is a board of directors, so the tone should be formal and data-driven. So by combining these 4 elements, you're not just asking a question, you're programming AI to deliver exactly what you need. And then next, we're going to show you how to use this framework directly in a demonstration. I'll let you take over.
Great, thank you. So we wanted to showcase something that was kind of like a rudimentary yet like really powerful use case for AI. And for this, we wanted to just make a clear distinction that we're going to use this RTFC RTFC. I was going to say RTCF, but the role task format and context method allows us to really get a lot of granularity into the requests that we're going to make of the AI. So a lot of common like people among society are used to using Google for their like search engine and answering the questions that they have and that they need to find the answers for, where they're just going to ask a simple question for best search query results. When we use a granular approach like the RTFC framework, we're able to really ask a lot of the AI and put it to work. So that's just one thing to keep in mind. We really want to make sure we get comprehensive, exhaustive outputs from the AI. So we like to use a lot of keywords along those lines. Mm-hmm. So to prepare the prompt, we're using this framework, and we've preloaded it and done a scenario here for the AI to go out and conduct an exercise as a marketing strategist, putting together a marketing plan for VICA in town, the construction association. So the AI is going to take on the role of marketing assistant or marketing advisor or marketing consultant and go out and conduct market research, pull in a bunch of relevant information, and think strategically about how a marketing strategy could be deployed for VICA. And then we're going to take it a step further and break that strategy down into executable steps, and then even into some emails to send to some staff along the team. And then from there, we're going to take it into a vibe coding exercise where we have a predefined prompt that'll actually build a dashboard we can publish to have the team that is responsible for the marketing strategy go to the web link and just dissect the plan at large. So there's an overview. And
bear with us, this is our first time using the multi-screen method here.
And this is the secondary. So we preloaded all of this, and to this point, prompt chaining. You and I, we were having a conversation about prompt chaining at the start here, where this RTFC framework is something we could tell the AI, hey, I need an AI that's going to go out and conduct a marketing strategy, and like I need to make sure it understands the role that it has in the task that I'm assigning it. Please give me a prompt using the RTFC framework to illuminate like a really comprehensive prompt that I'll use, and that's essentially what we've done here. So it's a bit of an abstraction above what people would consider. You would never do that in Google. So this is a new paradigm of technology, something that allows us to think in that abstract nature. So here, as you can see, role. We just throw the titles here with the colons. It's not necessary, just for demonstration's sake. And you're an expert marketing strategist and consultant. You specialize in developing comprehensive integrated marketing plans for nonprofits. Your approach is data-driven, practical, and focused on delivering measurable results, right? And then the task we're asking it is to develop a comprehensive, expert-level integrated marketing strategy for Vancouver Island Construction Association for the next 18 to 24 months. And we tailored this as we were prompt stacking as well. So we're kind of specific as we were loading it. But as we go through, we've assigned it its task. Here's some unique information about Vika. Here's what we're looking for. We want this to be actionable and something we can pass along to the team, right? So the format that we get to exercise here, this is the fun part where I like to really dial in the output of the AI by describing the format that you're going to be working with. So here is where you can provide a section heading and then describe the output that you're looking for within that section. So the executive summary is self-explanatory. You don't necessarily need to define that. But as you get into the SMART goals, you can specify how many goals you want to see and what you want them to look like to a degree. The target audience segmentation, this is what we're looking for, primary and secondary and tertiary audiences. And we keep going and just keep breaking down section by section. The meat on this one really comes into section 5 where, integrated channel strategy is what are we looking for? Do we want digital marketing, content marketing, email marketing, social? Do we want direct mail campaign broken down? Do we have a network and conference guidelines that we need our team to adhere to as they're attending events? There's all kinds of considerations as business leaders that we need to describe for our teams. And we can ask AI to describe those things just by simply laying out the sections of our format and being specific, very, very specific. As business people, we have to be specific when we're dealing with people. So try to think of this as something where you're dealing with a person and instead of a computer. So lastly, and very importantly, context. This is the provision of the background information to root the AI's response in something that is going to adhere to what we're intending. So in this context, we have Vika. It's a local firm. You can't really get the wrong Vika and go down the wrong line. But as a fail-safe, we're going to say, this is the Vika we're talking about. Here is its mission. Here's its key offerings, its membership basis, its goals, all of the information that we can think to provide to this AI so that we can just really have a lot of checks and balances as it's producing its result. It'll say is this the right Vika? And check itself. A preventative measure toward hallucination. And just illuminating some things that we need to have done. So that's RTFC, and all we have to do now, and it may look daunting having this massive thing, but think about the outputs you're going to get. How much time would it take you to develop a marketing strategy and go out there and do the surveys, conduct the research, and aggregate all of the results? We put a fraction of that time into a prompt, and we can expedite a lot of the heavy lifting when it comes to organizational strategy. And this is just one use case, right? So let's hit it. And
I think if we had more time, is it true we would choose to use deep research for a prompt
absolutely,
like this?
Yeah. So we would. This is just using 2.5 Pro advanced reasoning capability. Again, reducing the probability of hallucination, creates a bit more of a verified output. It's a well articulated thinking mechanism, and as you can see here, it's got a chain of thought. So it's thinking about how to approach this problem, and it's asking itself, okay, first, how am I going to break this down? Next, I'm going to go out and search the web. Okay, here's what I found. Now, how should I structure the output? It is really reasoning through how this output should be verified and put forward for the user. This is a groundbreaking capability all the frontier labs are offering, advanced reasoning capability, and highly recommend leveraging it if you haven't tried it out already. It's a lot more powerful. So. Yeah, we would use a deep research as well. That's the next level above advanced reasoning, where it'll come back with a 30, 40-page report after 20 or 30 minutes. And so that's basically, here's the output that we get. And as you can see, everything's pretty well broken out. We've got our SMART goals and objectives. And just keep in mind, even if there is variance here and discrepancy or some issue that you're seeing and it's it's falling short in this domain, but it's pretty powerful here. This is just a starting point. All you have to do is say, hey, your section 2 is garbage, or try to be nice because we never know what this, can you please fix section 2? And you don't even really need to be specific as you're asking it there. You just say, section 2 is not good, and it'll go in and ask, well, what's not good about it? And it'll start to think critically about the output. So
yeah, usually when I a practice that I usually use is I'll read through this, and in the prompt text box, I'll just say, please make the following adjustments. And I'll start like a bulleted list. Be like, okay, please revise section 2 to be more specific to X and Y, Z. And then as I'm reading through, I'll just keep making a new bulleted list. And then that way, when I'm done reading through, I've got all my adjustments and I'll let it go again. So the iteration is where the power comes, for sure.
Yeah, and you can see as it's kind of really dialed in on different platforms. Here's LinkedIn, here's Instagram, here's how we want to approach this platform, and how do we want to engage with companies here, Facebook, integration. Like everything we've asked for, it's dialed in for us. So it's a really great starting point, and now it's just the time to iterate if it's not perfect. And amplify, like you could have it say, go directly into item 2.5.2 and generate an entire breakdown with these sections, and get the same kind of output there. And again, deep research is going to give you a very comprehensive output with cited sources and everything. Mm-hmm. So what we end up here with is a comprehensive marketing strategy, and imaginably we've now fine-tuned it, and this is a good output. We're ready to disseminate it to the team.
Yeah.
So we're going to do that via this here.
It's up a bit more.
Sorry, this guy here. Mm-hmm. So in this context, we've got 3 team members that we're going to be leveraging here to send this out to the world and make it happen. So we're just simply going to break this strategy down into a 3-week playbook by categories so that I can effectively deploy the strategy using the following resources: a marketing coordinator, designer, and a salesperson, right? So simply hit go on that, and we can see the output. Thinking process comes through.
And then one thing we like about Gemini, here I'm just going to show, like what we would usually do is take this marketing strategy, and what's really fun about Gemini is, especially if you're in the Google ecosystem, when you hit share and export here, you can actually export directly to a Google document, or you can get it drafted in an email. And so as that's why we're using Gemini predominantly, is because we operate so heavily in the Google ecosystem.
So now we can see the 3-week marketing strategy deployment playbook is here. We've got an objective, team roles. Tanya's going to do this. She's project lead, manages the timeline. Can't read further than that. What week 1? Here's some points for an accountability chart with Tanya as lead, support with Robin Ashton, and like a status checkbox, right? So now we've got like some good assets that we can use to start disseminating this information. And there's week 3, right? So keys to success, next steps. It's great, really valuable outputs here. So the last thing we're going to do now is just actually kick off this strategy with the team. And that is, again, just another simple prompt. It doesn't need to follow the RTFC framework. So now please draft 3 kickoff emails that I can copy and paste to the individuals who will be initiating the strategy. So now it's looking back in its context. It sees we have our marketing coordinator, our sales lead, and the 3 people, and it understands what aspects of the marketing strategy should be handled by which party. Looks at the 3-week breakdown and identifies, how should we word this in a way that would kick it off properly. So Tanya is our marketing coordinator. I'm thrilled to officially kick off the implementation of our new integrated marketing strategy, and I'll be looking to you to lead the charge. Your role as marketing coordinator, you're central to bringing this plan to life and driving its success. It's like, here's your attachments, you got the playbook and the strategy, let's go. And the same for Rob, the designer, a tailored output just for Rob, applicable to his role in this strategy, and the same for Ashton in sales, right? So, this is just 5 minutes worth of prompting, and we now have a fully integrated marketing strategy. We would obviously need to vet it as professionals and tailor it, but it's just a great example of how powerful we can have AI work for us. So taking that to the next step, because now the coding capabilities is very rudimentary coding instance, but what we can do is take the entire output and give it to the next AI model as context.
Yeah, so what we did actually was we exported the strategy and the playbook to documents, and we've PDF'd them, and we've attached them here. We've pre-attached them and loaded them here. And so we're going to use those documents that we just created as context for our next prompt And do you want to explain Google AI
I've
Studio?
got it, yeah. So we got, with the, that PDF, that should have been, backstory. We prepped those two. It's the same outputs as previous, just for the sake of time here. We've just attached previous outputs. Roughly the same style and everything, maybe a little bit different content, but effectively the same. We also, over to the left here, we attached a screenshot of the Vika logo and website so we can emulate the visual style of it just by a computer vision, right? So here, as we're using Gemini in the top left here, Gemini's basically the interface we use for the most part. Google AI Studio is more developer-centric, allows some fine-tuning and controls over model parameters, like thinking token limits and so on. The only reason we're using this here is for a simple function. At the end of this output, we can download an HTML file just for sake of a quick visual. So that's all we're doing this for. Gemini will produce the same outputs, the same model over, it's 2.5 Pro that we're using here as well. So RTFC on this one, we're just making this AI is going to be a web developer, and its task is simply to provide a standalone HTML file that will be a fully interactive and immersive dashboard that'll display the organizational strategy. From there, we just give it some format. We want it to have modal boxes, accordion menus, radius corners. We need it to grab the image that we provided it of Vika's website and emulate the visual style for fonts, text spacing, sizing, visual elements of the site. And just for fun, we actually hosted the Vika logo. So we're actually gonna get the Vika logo brought into the dashboard as well. We'll just give it its coordinates and we're off. Context, see attached the image for colors and fonts, the PDFs of the strategy and the playbook, and each report must be accessible via some interactive element. So this is all we need to provide: context, a bit of description about what we're looking for, and give it its role, and then we're off to the races. So I'm going to hit go on this. And this prompt should take about 60 seconds to break out. So we can even time it. But yeah, any questions at this point about anything we're witnessing? Yeah.
When you're iterating, do you find it's really good about retaining, when you say you like a section, that it will not modify it through that entire process?
Yeah, I'd say that's a factor of context. As you're approaching the upper limits of a context window, you start to lose some of that continuity. But for the most part, like Gemini's got a million token context window. It takes quite a bit of iteration before things start to break. And then by the time you're about nearing the limit, I basically just take the HTML file into a new chat window and say, here are next revisions we need to take, and it'll retain most of the function characteristics, features as you go. Yeah.
What's the limit?
A million tokens. So familiar with tokens?
So is that like 10 documents?
I would say, yeah, a million tokens. Every token is like 1.3 words, I believe, or 0.3 words. It's sections of words as you're going through. So when you get to 10,000 tokens, you can imagine that being like 6,000 words or so, maybe less. But the limit is a million tokens. So as you're putting input tokens in, the question that you're asking, and then output tokens out, those all add up over time, and the AI can only observe all of that at one time
Within one
to a
conversation?
limit. Yeah, within one instance of an interaction. So here, and I think they just added this function 2 days ago, so we can actually see the dashboard with a little preview button. So we can actually download this for a full screen effect, and I'll get us over to this one. Where is it? Download HTML. Oh yeah. There you go. So here's the dashboard it created. Vika logo, interactive strategic dashboard, navigating Vika's marketing strategy. So we click this, we got the accordion menu like we asked. We got drop shadows on hover, magnification effects. Click for, and there's our first bug. So we're clicking the executive summary and it's collapsing everything. This would be a simple hey, I'm clicking the executive summary and it's not working. So in the event of this, it's a one shot, works most of the time. And others you need to do a 2 or 3 or 4, depending on the level of complexity. But in this event, we've got backup here. This was one we prepared in a one-shot attempt. So similar style, some variations. We've got the accordion menu, shows nice breakdown of everything that was contained within that strategic document that we prepared. We've got little check marks, fun little elements that is brought in, gives us tables, everything's laid out nicely, no breaks. It's pretty powerful output that we can get in like 5 minutes. This becomes a pretty useful tool when people, it's AI outputs a lot of raw text. You can see it from a mile away, emails that have the same styling, the long dash and the, kinds of literary devices that AI loves. But when we want to make it a little more exciting and put this content to work, it's simple enough to just have it format it in a different way. And so pretty useful.
Do you want to
Yep,
I'm just noticing time right now.
Okay.
And then one question as well that we get a lot is, now that you have an HTML document, what can you do with it? You don't need to host it on a website. You can actually attach it as a file to an email and just give instructions to say you can just download the HTML and then just double click it and it'll open up in a browser. So it's actually quite easy for sharing as well. Okay, so we are going to move forward into our next section here.
Yep. So can I swap sides with you?
Yeah.
So, thank you. So as you can see, something pretty unique. No one in the past has been able to accomplish anything like this in such a short amount of time. So now, considering the limits of this demonstration that we had here, room full of people, we did some preamble, some work to get that ready. So probably less than an hour to get everything tightened up and ready to go. We can see that using the right prompt and the right context, we can elicit some pretty powerful results, and that is the constituent parts really prompt, context, and we're going to get some magic. So imagine what's possible if we were to begin allocating more time, resources, energy into really leveraging AI, and that's kind of what's happening all around the world right now, AI development, like taking capability out of the frontier labs and working with it and stacking one prompt into the next and creating agentic systems, and there's the whole array. So in terms of today's presentation, Introduction to AI, we're barely scratching the surface. So some of us in the room are familiar with the domain, and they know, the accelerating function that we have in front of us is unparalleled. And we are, we're only seeing just the tip of the iceberg when we're showing you something like this. So we're truly entering a new paradigm. This is the age of AI. It's a coined term. A couple of authors have written about it, but AI is reshaping every aspect of our lives in every sector, and it's only going to continue to accelerate as we continue the journey. So if we look back over the last 150 years, we've got revolution over revolution, from the industrial to the age of oil and gas, automotive to the internet revolution, the digital age, the space age. Now we have the age of AI. So it really is a paradigm shift here. And with each revolution, humanity is forced to reimagine possibilities. So when we have a breakthrough, something so groundbreaking, you can't begin to conceptualize what's going to be possible given this revelation. But we're at the beginning of an age where almost anything's going to be possible. And this is more profound than any before, with limitless possibilities. So this is an age marked by the convergence of capabilities across all technological domains, where we have a breakthrough in one domain applying in some way to another domain. I'll stick to the script on this one because I don't want to lead anyone. This is a complicated subject, so.
I just moved the screen before.
There, that's right. Yeah, that's good.
Yeah.
So it's happening faster than we can conceptualize. As AI improves, it will continue to bridge gaps between highly specialized fields and disciplines, accelerating breakthroughs from one field to the next. We're seeing it breakthroughs and advancements in a lot of tech domains, from artificial intelligence to robotics to nanotechnology, neural interfacing, bioengineering, quantum computing, and genetic editing. All of these things play together in some capacity, and AI is the piece that allows insight from one domain to the next to be translated in a way that has never been accomplished before. So we're breaking through in AI, providing answers to age-old questions in mathematics, like looking at alpha evolve and matrix multiplication. We had a breakthrough there. It's a 100-plus-year-old math problem, and we made efficiencies for the first time using AI. There's a monumental and impactful breakthrough in mathematics. Or when AI is pulling insight from bioengineering and applying principles of bioengineering to nanotechnology. These are things that are just going to accelerate all fields, and it's all going to amalgamate and converge into some new paradigm that humanity isn't capable of comprehending because it's so exponential. And it's coming within the next 20, 40 years, and that's conservative. So AI is becoming the cornerstone of technological convergence and advancements. So it's the interesting part, though, is really where AI begins to converge with itself. So for this, we call it recursion. So this is where we're now starting to see AI systems that are purpose-built to, in fact, just build better AI systems. So this recursively self-improving mechanism is an accelerant to AI development itself, and it's just going to expedite the convergence across all other technological domains. A lot of amazing possibilities, if you can imagine. Let's see. So it's critical as business leaders to consider our next steps carefully and strategically, and we need to prepare. So what are we going to do today to make sure we are prepared for tomorrow? And for that, we can really look at one thing: harnessing the incredible force of AI in today's business operations. And just look around us. What was possible yesterday is what we could only dream about yesterday was possible. This is a sharp one. Okay, everybody listen. Okay, what we could only dream about yesterday is possible today, and what will be possible tomorrow is beyond our imagination. And if that's a key takeaway for today. If I could even get it out right. Yeah, that's good. So how do we see this playing out on a global scale? From a geopolitical perspective, we've got a global AI arms race. Touched on this with the DeepSeek movement and Chinese pressure, reverse engineering frontier labs, releasing model capability to the general public that your paid subscription was offering yesterday. What does that mean? That means the models that are offering paid subscriptions and have been trying to reserve their capability are now forced to release something a little bit better to incentivize the public to be using that capability. So that is a forced acceleration mechanism, and it's a paradoxical situation where we can't slow down progress to think about what impact might these capabilities have on society. And that question has kind of fallen by the wayside in the light of all of this optimism and progress, really. So as we're looking at that forced release and considering things like how might this affect society, we're looking at things like job disruption, job displacement, and mass disruption, where powerful AI tools are accessible to everyone and not just governments. So this is the kind of power that was typically reserved for national powers and like conglomerates in the past. So now that everyday people have the power to create something of this caliber on zero resource, what does that result in? Like mass disruption across sectors, and then what does that lead to? We've got job displacement and workforce displacement, where we had legal professionals who pride themselves in being a legal professional, and now AI is coming to absorb the majority of your role. So there's a transformation in terms of professional capabilities, where we need to begin learning how to leverage AI, and if we don't, your role will become adopted, and that happens across all professions. So an influential power as well is beginning to present as AI-generated content becomes more and more convincing and indistinguishable from content that we used to spend millions of dollars preparing, and that's now in the hands of the many. You can think about what a small team might be able to accomplish in terms of generating new media and imposing new narratives across social media. There's a lot of social implication along with a lot of this capability as well. So if we're considering the future of human skills as well, a lot of automation is going to take over information-based work and strategic thinking. A lot of this work is going to be adopted by AI. Looking at my background in construction, anybody that's turning a screwdriver and doing some fine motor skill that requires some critical thinking, those jobs are going to be the last to be absorbed by AI, as far as we can hypothesize. Unless there's a major breakthrough in robotics tomorrow that causes that to be some simple problem, but right now, the variability, complexity of the physical world is the last hurdle for AI. So we want to make sure, given the magnitude of this change, we want to prepare for social unrest as well. So like just thinking about, as jobs are lost and people are wondering what their purpose is in life, where are people's minds going to wander? And I think there's potential for a lot of social unrest. And with so much uncertainty, how do we consider a strategic horizon as business people? So as tech converges and AI accelerates through breakthroughs, we can't anticipate what the future of commerce or business is going to look like. It's almost an impossibility to try to understand what that future state will be. So we look to key investment areas and areas that anything that you can conceptualize would be feeding this AI machine that is coming to the earth as energy, compute infrastructure, cybersecurity, and commodities and raw material. So with automation comes automated manufacturing processes and lowered production of goods. So looking at some baseline industries and sectors that will stand the test of time in the next 20 years, looking at energy, compute, nuclear, cybersecurity, quantum computing, things like that. Just keep your eyes on the prize there. Most importantly, though, we need to be strategic about our people and who we are in our society, our communities. So as we're looking at AI taking over a lot of purpose from humanity, we need to really think about how we're going to continue to unite people and remember what it is to be human in the age of in the shadow of machines and markets. So like as this solidifies, we just need to hold on to our communities and our neighbors. That's going to be a very important consideration in the years to come. So from everyone else's perspective, any other areas where AI is currently impacting our world or reshaping something, feel free to.
I know we don't have a ton of time for questions, but if anyone has a comment or question.
I will just jump in for a moment to mention it's just almost 1, so we understand folks are going to have to get back to work, and that's great. I think, but you guys will be happy to just stay and answer some questions.
Yeah.
And then once we've got the room till 1:30, so we can do Q&A as long as it goes, and have a coffee.
Yeah, I think. Thank you.
So
okay. Well, I think what we'll do is we'll just breeze through the rest of the presentation really quick. Anyone who needs to leave, that's totally okay. And then we'll just save some questions for the end as well. Okay. So, yeah, I'm just going to move on.
That's it.
And so what we want to talk about next is how can you use AI safely in your daily life? So we want to talk about the 3 golden rules of AI safety. And so rule number 1 is to control your data. So by default, when you use a free AI model like GPT or Gemini, your conversations are actually used to train the AI model. And so it's a critical point because if this setting is left on, anything that you enter into the interface can be absorbed by the model. And so that means that if another user later enters a specific enough prompt, the AI can actually replicate your exact data that you entered and feed it into another user's response. And so thankfully we do have control over this. And so within ChatGPT, Gemini, there is a way to go into your settings and turn that model training off. When you do upgrade to a paid plan though, not on GPT, but on Gemini, it does default to not train your data. But in GPT, if you do have a paid plan, I highly recommend going and looking on how to turn that setting off. However, rule number 2 is even if you have this setting turned off, it's important to protect your concepts. And so this is where the distinction gets important, that even after you've turned off the model training, AI still can learn from your conversation in that session to understand context. And so we talked about why would you use an open source model on a locally run device. This is a lot of reason why is because while it can't replicate your data exactly, but it can adjust its internal weights based on the ideas, structures, and concepts that you provide. And so this means that while your data While your proprietary business plan won't be copy and pasted into another user's concepts, it could be reconstructed or regurgitated in a different form. And so AI can learn the pattern of your idea and not just the words. So for your most sensitive and unique ideas, the only true privacy is to use a locally run AI model. And finally, the third rule is to beware of hallucinations, as we discussed earlier. And so AI can and does make things up. It's a statistical model, not a truth machine. And so you always want to fact check the critical information, especially from free or lower tiers where you're not using an advanced reasoning model. And so by using an advanced reasoning model and providing really clear context, you're going to minimize that risk, but you never want to trust it blindly. So quickly, we're going to run through how can you avoid these hallucinations even further. The first thing, as we mentioned, is providing context. If you want AI to summarize a report, give it the exact report that you want it to summarize. So you want to constrain the knowledge by saying, based only on the text that I've provided, please answer the following question. This prevents it from guessing. Second, you want to demand sources. So when using models that can browse the web, like Perplexity, GPT, Gemini, you can add an additional context to your prompt and say, provide citations for all claims and include links to your sources. This forces the model to ground its answers in verifiable information. Third is you want to make sure you're using the right model. As we discussed, premium models that you generally have to pay for, you can use it limited on a free plan, are designed to self-correct and are less likely to hallucinate from their counterparts. And finally, we always want to fact check. The ultimate safety net is your own critical thinking. And so for any high stakes information, take a moment to verify the output and never trust it blindly. Okay, thank you everyone. Thank you. Yes.
So I do have a question from before. I'm curious,
Yeah.
kind of related to Mike's question too. When you're talking about the first output from your prompt and going through and doing sort of a bulleted list of the different points that you want to address, would you typically go back and adjust your prompt to include those, or would you iterate on the output?
Is this to understand if you're asking at, like, is the first prompt we put in had the breakdown, like the list of bulleted items that we?
Are you saying if you want to
go back and adjust the prompt to address the bullets that you noted, or if you would?
I would just simply iterate upon it and say we've got the output and say as per section 2.2, like clause 3. I need you to do something different here, and just direct it to where, and it'll regenerate the entire report once over.
Yeah, so to answer your question, you do not need to edit your original prompt. You can simply do a new prompt with very clear instructions on what you want updated.
And that would be applicable to get like beginner use, rather than trying to target a specific section and have that pulled out. Like prompting on subscription doesn't cost you any more to generate an entire new page once again. Whereas if you're a developer and you're looking to optimize for token utilization, you really want to be specific about that section and have it regenerate, and your outputs would be directed like in a different way. Right?
Yeah. Any other questions, comments? Yeah.
Yeah. So what would you view as the point where you would have someone decide between a free service or a paid service?
I would. Yeah, you want to right away. Don't use the free models. The $25 for a paid subscription as a consumer is worth its weight in gold. Yeah, I don't think it even weighs anything. Actually.
I think though, like for example, like I have various like Google accounts on my phone. I use my personal Google account, which is not a paid subscription, and I access Gemini's ability to like actually change things on my phone and like do actions on my phone, and using just the 2.5 flash free model to like call this person, text this person, draft a quick email, it's totally fine for me, and I'm okay with the fact that that might be training the model. So it really just depends on if you're using it daily, then definitely I would go ahead and upgrade. It's $25.
Good point.
As Brayden said, but it depends.
Yeah. And if you're like one very the big recommendation we can make is just try all kinds of AI. Go to these frontier models, try them, and you don't have to pay for a subscription to try them. You just use the free tier and just familiarize yourself with how they operate, because they all have a different, kind of like a different personality. So just go out and try the free tier and experiment with Perplexity, Claude, OpenAI's models, and like Gemini, and then just see what it does and see where you gravitate, and then make sure you just subscribe there. That would be the recommendation.
Yeah, and I know we've talked a lot about Gemini, and I know a lot of people prefer GPT as well because of its memory capabilities. So for example, Gemini won't remember anything about you outside of the conversation that we were just having. And so you need to be extra specific with the context in Gemini. But in ChatGPT, it stores the memory from all your previous conversations, so it can provide a lot more reliable outputs. So if you're using it more conversationally, whereas we use Gemini a lot for business uses, we prefer like formatting and just overall the models are basically comparable to ChatGPT. We have specific preferences though. So if you're using it conversationally, GPT is great for users and their memory capability as well.
There's also a number of features that in most of the paid plans unlock and you get access to. So depending on your use case and your ecosystem, that would be a factor.
It's sure too, if you're using it for multiple clients, the memory in ChatGPT can be a bit of a nightmare.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
It doesn't know who you are.
Yeah.
yeah. In that case, you want to make sure you're really specific about setting up different projects within GPT so that you can avoid that. Because I think that's a new feature in GPT. If you set up a new project, the memory is contained within that project, and so it won't rely on memory outside of that. And that's actually new.
You can choose.
Yeah, you can also disable the memory function from like at a baseline, and then if you wanted to keep it enabled going into the project, you say we can choose whether or not we want internal memory focused on a specific
or on the account entirely.
On a project by project basis as well.
Correct.
Oh, that's good. That's actually that changes my opinion a little bit.
Project
Thank you.
security is very valuable.
Yeah, that's great.
And there's so much happening. Like it's overwhelming to keep up with all of this too.
Really just a comment, particularly on that strategic horizon piece, because I think that's really worth dwelling on. We were just chatting beforehand, and we have two potential clients, different clients, who are looking for 5-year roadmaps and plans. Right, so there's a bit of education. Now, you can imagine a conceptual plan, but not a rollout plan for do this in year 5. Right?
Exactly.
So there's definitely something in that strategic horizon that just hasn't been absorbed by the community. Right?
Exactly. Yeah, it's a hard one to grapple with. How do you draw that on a diagram?
Well, I think there's conceptual approaches. You could institutionalize an approach. And you couldn't say do this in year 5.
Exactly.
I couldn't say do this in month 6.
Yeah. I think it just boils down to a lot of anticipation around like possible outcomes and possible capabilities along this path. Just logical progression, as you can extrapolate. Like, okay, this capability should present if this is true today. These should be true tomorrow, and then try to think just conceptually.
I think it really would speak to something you pointed out earlier on when you talked about the background about driving a culture into an organization.
Exactly.
Maybe more about that over 5 years than it is about a specific technology at a point in time.
Yeah, adaptability and getting quick into the tools.
Good content.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Well made.
Thanks.
Okay. Thank you, everyone.
else?
We'll stick around here as well for individual questions.
Yeah. Great. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
That was awesome.
Thank you.